Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours of the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Thank you for everyone that's showed up early. I appreciate all of you saying your good mornings. Good morning. Got Jeffrey Stonecipher in here, Alexandra G, Jesse Gulak, username. I'm not saying you make the best ribs, though. Definitely not saying it because I make the best ribs. So you're going to have to take that for what it is. I see Retro Mike Tech with the super chat. Thank you, Retro Mike Tech. Good morning to you. Hope you're getting your caffeine in here this morning. We got Donato Cabrera in the chat as well. Good morning to you all. I do have a few headlines today. We know what one of the headlines is going to be. It's going to be about those tariffs that we're going to be seeing coming tomorrow. Trump did say that those would be starting on Tuesday. I do have a few other headlines, and those will be covering ETFs. So let's dive on in and get you prepped for some success today. We do have the stock heat map pulled up for you, and we are seeing a little bit of some sell-off in the pre-market. No different than what we saw on crypto this weekend. Got Apple sitting down at 0.67 from its close, and the pre-market sitting down 1.93. We've got Nvidia sitting down 3.67 from its close on Friday, sitting down at 3.14 in the pre-market right now. Got Berkshire Hathaway down 0.78 from Friday, sitting down 1.42 in the pre-market. Amazon was sitting up a 1.3 from its close, sitting down 2.04 in the pre-market. We've got Eli Lilly sitting down a 1.48 from its close in the pre-market, down a 1.19. We got ExxonMobil sitting down 2.5 from its close. It is sitting quite neutral in the pre-market though, sitting up 0.05. We've got Tesla sitting up a 1.08 in the pre-market. It's seeing some sell-off as well, down at 3.1. We've got P&G sitting down 0.85 from its close, sitting down 0.66 in the pre-market right now. We've got Microsoft, which was sitting neutral from its close on Friday, up 0.02, and the pre-market seeing some sell-off just like everything else, down 1.25. We've got Google sitting up 1.47 from its close, taking back all of those gains and a little bit extra, down 1.83 in the pre-market. And to wrap it on out, we have Meta sitting up a 0.32 from its close, and in the pre-market sitting down 2.11. We've got the crypto heat map looking like a sea of red this morning. We've got Bitcoin sitting down at 2.66, Ethereum down a whopping 9.6. We got XRP, which is now under Tether again in market cap, and sitting down 7.71. We've got Solana sitting down at 2.6, BNB sitting down at 6.53. We've got Cardano back under that dollar range, sitting 11.19% down. We've got Dogecoin sitting down 4.69, Stellar Lumens down 5.27, so slightly more resilient than XRP. We've got SWI sitting down at 4.5, Toncoin sitting down at 4.5 as well, and HBAR sitting down at 6.37. Let's hop over to that economic calendar for today. We do have some heavy data coming out this morning. At 9:45, we will be getting that S&P Global Manufacturing PMI final. Also at 10 o'clock, we will be getting the ISM Manufacturing PMI. So some heavy data a little bit after market open that might be sending things a little higher up just for a brief second before we really get that continued sell-off from these tariffs that will be rolling out tomorrow. We do have forecasted a little bit of a pickup on that ISM manufacturing PMI from 4.93 to 4.98. We also have the manufacturing prices, which is coming out. Not a heavy market mover, but that is looking to head slightly in the wrong direction here from 52.5 to 52.6. We do have a few Fed chairs speaking today at 12:30 Eastern Time and again at 6:30 p.m. We will kind of have to see how the market reacts off of this data for the morning. We'll dive into the rest of the data tomorrow when I have a lot more time to go into all of that. We do have a few headlines I wanted to touch on. We do have the stock heat map down quite a bit, sitting at 44 and fear right now. Probably going to start heading towards that extreme fear range that I've been talking about for quite a while. We are going to see these tariffs impacting a lot of things. We did get a little boost off of the dollar, off of the news, but the stock side of things has not been looking too pretty. We are that was the crypto side of things, sorry there. We are up a point on the stock side at 46, but I do think that heads back down to that extreme fear area that I've talked about for quite a while. That crypto side got hit extremely hard on the fear and greed as we got that big dump on Bitcoin back at some levels I had talked about and scooted just a little bit lower. So we will take a look at this liquidation heat map before we dive into that Bitcoin chart. I see Al Jr. in here saying good morning. He says I'm still on my short LFG. Yes, sir. I do see the potential for some more downside. So nice move there. We've got Al Jr. saying I almost crapped my pants 3 days ago though. So I'm guessing you saw that little move to the upside and we're a little worried there. We got all set in the chat. Good morning to you. Hope you are having a great day so far. Let's dive into this liquidation heat map. We do have a lot of liquidity to the top side of us as we go all the way up on these time frames. We've got the 24-hour with a lot of liquidity sitting around that $100,000 range. I think that would be a big push to try and grab unless we can turn some key areas into some support and this data isn't seen as overwhelmingly negative. We do have that 3-day with the hot spot in that same area, about that 99.5. A light little hot spot sitting at 100,100, and then another hot spot sitting at that 103,000. If you zoom that on out to the weekly, you can kind of see we are very, very hot on the top side. Most of that is sitting at the highs though. So a long reach for Bitcoin to get back up to that point and try to take that liquidity that is sitting above us. We don't really have any liquidity sitting to the bottom side of us, so that does look quite nice. We do have that 2-week also with that liquidity at the highs, and if you zoom that on out to the monthly, you can kind of see we do have a brief bit of liquidity down at the lows that I had talked about where we have a giant CME gap. You'll kind of have to see how far we drag down on things because I definitely had a few lower levels that I had my eyes on. Let's hop over to that Bitcoin chart for the morning. We do have the daily pulled up right now. As you can see, we did hit the cross of our indicator line and everything's kind of pointed to the downside right now. We've got the prime oscillator sitting in red as your money flow is kind of holding steady here. Might get a brief little wicking down to the bottom side again to try to scoop up any longs that might have been set down here at the lows before we really try to push back up on things. We will really need to hold this key level I have drawn out here at 95, almost 400, and that's kind of where we're doing some battle right now this morning as we try to cool off some of this and wait for some reversal signals to start flashing. If you zoom this on in to our 4 hour, we do have a reversal signal that has flashed down about here at that $99,000 range before we got the rest of that move to the downside. Definitely waiting for some more reversal signals to start flashing here. I do think we do have this 382. That would be a nice little bouncing point if we lose that $95,000 as some support. That 93,000, about 300 would be a nice little bouncing point. That's that 382 there. You also have a 90,800 as a bottom side target as well that I've been looking at. It goes back here from our equal candle bodies where we did see a bit of some wicking below where we might come into play at that 89,000 range if we are unable to keep this as some support here at 90,000. Definitely waiting for this money flow to start coming in more green on the 4 hour here. It looks like it might be rolling back over here on our higher term time frame. You do have the 1 hour, which is sitting at a kind of crucial area here. You do have your prime oscillator rolling over just a little bit as your money flow is starting to come back in. Could see a brief move to the upside this morning if we do get that nice green push of liquidity. Other than that, I would wait for that rollover and see another reversal signal flash here and some oversold signals flash, and that would probably start happening around that 382 that I had talked about. That's that 93-100 range. We do have the 15-minute looking kind of toppy as well. Your MACD has just crossed that indicator line, looking to try to get that scoop back up to the top side, but still pointed quite down here. You have your prime oscillator looking quite red as your money flow is starting to roll over there and really starting to get some selling pressure. Your money flow is nice and solid though, so if we can maintain this range, keep bouncing off of these moving averages, a nice little push to the upside before we find some resistance in our fair value gap on our shorter term time frames could be a nice little move to see here. We definitely have a little bit of some resistance here above that 95,000, sitting at 96,700, which we might bump up against, and that's that 100 moving average as well. I don't know if anyone has any alt requests, but I do have some time for alt requests a little bit later. I didn't have a whole lot I was looking at this morning besides the Dixie and potentially gold. You know, we will probably continue to see these moves on our inflation resistant assets. So that's why I've been looking at gold and silver quite a bit here. Got lower tariffs on Canadian energy feels like a modest win, National Bank of Canada says, with the U.S. President Donald Trump imposing 25% tariffs on Canada, the 10% tariffs on energy feels like a modest win, and the market appears to have largely priced in the announcement, the National Bank of Canada said in a Sunday note. Overall, the Bank of Canada sees the energy sector as somewhat insulated given a weakening Canadian dollar and the US dollar as the broader tariffs take effect, leaving the revenue for Canadian producers relatively muted. The bank previously highlighted Suncor, Imperial Oil, Arc Resources, and Birchcliff Energy and Peyton Explorations and Development as a relatively better position to withstand tariffs in a scenario where a catch-up trade could gain momentum and laggards outperform in the short term. The bank flagged otherwise resilient businesses such as Athasba Oil, Canadian Natural Resources, Meg Energy, Tourmaline Oil, and Whitecap Resources. A range of scenarios depicted by the National Bank shows a roughly 5% impact to revenue for producers relative to forecasts. However, given micro and macroeconomic forces and efficiencies out of the oil and gas sector, the impact is extremely difficult to quantify, the bank said. And this is also coming on Canada's biggest import to the United States being energy. So this is why they got that little bit lower of a tariff on that, because they move more of that to the United States. You also did see yesterday Canada announcing that they would be imposing 25% tariffs back on America's imports to Canada. So we are seeing the beginning of the trade war starting. We'll definitely have to keep our eyes out to see how big of an impact this has on crypto, because I don't think crypto will be any different than the TradFi side that is already starting to get affected. So definitely keeping my eyes on this one. I did have a few other articles. Let me get over to those. We've got Grayscale announces Bitcoin mining industry's ETFs. On January 30th, the firm announced the Grayscale Bitcoin Miners ETF with the ticker MNRS. The product is a passively managed ETF tracking the mining industry and the index Bitcoin Miners Index. MNRS provides exposure to Bitcoin miners and the global Bitcoin mining industry at a time where we're seeing unprecedented interest and growth in Bitcoin, stated Grayscale. The fund provides exposures to companies involved in Bitcoin mining and the network verification, mining pool services, and infrastructure support, such as data centers, ASIC hardware, and GPUs. Introducing the Grayscale Bitcoin Miners ETF, MNRS offers investors targeted pure play exposure to Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin mining industry available directly in your investment account. Digital asset investor Mike Alfred said it was good timing, explaining that the funds track the index Bitcoin Miners Index IBM IIN, and its largest positions initially are Marathon Holdings, Riot Platforms, Core Scientific Cores, and CleanSpark and Irene. These are definitely some mining companies that we've talked about here on the Piper Academy. So it's kind of nice to see that Grayscale is kind of with it on the mining side of things. They want to fully capitalize on the Bitcoin and making money, of course. And miners have been a decent way to do that. We will kind of have to see if we get the same trend as last bull run, where these miners outperform Bitcoin's gains. So I know Piper has talked about CleanSpark for quite a while, and it's no surprise that that one's in the mining ETF. I do see Arsan246 in here. Jay Violet, good morning to you. I see Jake Fayan saying some wild market manipulation in yesterday's edition of Whale Games. Hope y'all hodled strong. Most definitely. And I did a little buy-in too. I missed out on some of the low lows, but I stuck to my plan. I have had limit orders set because I don't pay massive attention to the charts on the weekend. So if I had, I might have got some lower prices on some of the things I was looking at. I bought a bit of Bitcoin at 91K, says Rsan246. Congratulations on that scoop up. That's a very nice price there. I see Paul Caruso in the chat. Good morning to you. I want to know if my AVAX bag will ever come back, says Jake Fayen. Let's take a look at that AVAX chart a little bit later. I see Banana Republic 2039. It's funny because these tariffs barely have an effect on us in actuality, and they affect Canada and Mexico a lot more. Mexico and Canada both know this, and they need to scramble to come up with something. And that's definitely something I've talked about here. As we see these tariffs roll out, will see some slight impact on the United States. Like your luxury goods might be a little more expensive, which I mean is a big deal if you're trying to buy something luxury, or say you need like a refrigerator because your refrigerator goes out. You might pay just a little bit more for that, but some of these companies are also trying to get around that by bringing back some of that manufacturing to the United States. Like LG's already talked about bringing back the manufacturing of refrigerators and washers and dryers back to the United States. And this is kind of what Trump wanted to see. He wanted to bring back some American jobs here, and one way to do that is tariffs. It's not a pretty way to do it. It does have some longer term effects, and it will take a little bit to see the full rollout of that come into play, but it does strengthen the U.S. economy. And this is something we will have to keep our eye on, especially for Mexico. A lot of manufacturing is done there, and then they move their goods to the United States because it's been very cheap to do so. This is why you have a lot of car companies that manufacture their cars in Mexico, because then they can get around some of the tariffs, because we had a nice trade agreement with both Mexico and Canada. So definitely going to be nice to see some of the effects. Some of the effects won't be overall overwhelmingly positive on your consumer, though. It does affect Canada and Mexico a lot more, and one of the reasons that Trump said that he wanted to do this was because we give them a lot of money, and this would be a way to kind of counteract the effect of how much money we give them. Love all the preparations I've taken the past month. Well, it sounds like you've been extra prepared and probably watching Piper Academy, Jesse Gulak, because we've talked about these prices here. Bull market begins from there. Let's see what that... Oh, yep, I see Conspiracy Crypto in here. Good morning to you. And username Banana Republic True. Just like how we need to refine Canada's oil and ship it to the western side of their country. Most of the refineries are in the east and economically cheaper to have us do it. It's economically cheaper right now, but a lot of our oil refineries are a little bit outdated. So if we can get some nice incentives for these American companies to update their refineries, we might see a little bit more benefits from that, especially since we'll be getting the taxes on import, which is helping out just a bit, and then moving that oil for them. We will have to pay a little bit on the export of that back into their country, though. So definitely looking like the start of a big trade war. Let's hop over to this next news article, because I did see one more ETF was filed, and this is 21 shares filed an ETF for Polkadot. So another one which I'm actually happy to see this time, because I do like the more actual utility projects getting an ETF, and not like Trump meme coins or Melania meme coins or meme coins and Doge and maybe Shiba. These are the ones that I want to see. We do have a few other utility projects that were applied for as an ETF, but this is a step back in the right direction on the ETFs. So asset management firm 21 Shares has filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to launch the spot Polkadot exchange traded fund. On January 31st filing, 21 Shares stated its intention to list the 21 shares of Polkadot Trust on the CBOE BZX exchange, with the cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase acting as the dot custodian. It comes just 4 years after 21 Shares launched a similar product in Switzerland. In February 2021, the asset manager launched the world's first Polkadot ETP on the Swiss SIX exchange. The market will decide if there's a value for Polkadot ETF. Polkadot is the 18th largest crypto by market capitalization, but its price performance has been underwhelming in recent times. Over the past 12 months, its price has fallen 5.16% and is down 10.48% in the last month, according to Coin market cap data. The filing warned that there's no guarantee of Polkadot's price performance either in the short term or the long term after the ETF launches. There is no assurance that DOT will maintain its value in the long or immediate term, the filing said. In the event that the price of DOT declines, the sponsors expect the value of the shares to decline proportionately. Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seyffart said in the end, the market will decide if there's demand for the spot Polkadot ETF. The market will decide where the value lies and if there's value in launching such a product. If no one puts money in a Polkadot ETF, it will close. People are free to launch whatever ETFs are deemed to be allowed by the SEC, Seyffart said in January 31st X post. The filing outlined potential risks associated with the Polkadot network. These include a potential increase in the DOT supply available for trading and the possibility of DOT being classified as a security under federal laws. This is something we'll kind of have to keep our eyes on here. We will be seeing more and more of these ETFs being launched as things go forward. Definitely something more positive in my eyes, though, as we see more of legitimate products getting the recognition here. I see Silver Days XRP in the chat. Good morning to you. Hope you are having a great day so far. Dusty Hunt in here as well. Good morning to you. Hope you are having a great morning, getting that caffeine in and prepping for the day. I do think we might see some big moves here coming as the markets open and we see some of these tariffs moving the markets. We do see gold trying to push back to some all-time highs. It did get a nice bounce on a key level that I had my eye on. This is that 15-minute chart as we got a bit of a dump here over the night and then bounced off of that 2,775 level. I do have my eye on 2,826 for a bit of a resistance area on gold. That is that 1618 on a Fibonacci extension. Then we are trying to push back up here to reclaim some of these lows from that move, that double top move that we made before the dump. If you zoom this on out to a 4 hour here, you can kind of see we've got plenty of room to run. We do have the MACD trying to hit that cross back above to the top side of our indicator line, and the prime oscillator is getting that scoop back up as well. We do see it sitting red on that prime oscillator, but it could be a very quick shift from that red back to that green here, as money flow is starting to look like some buying pressure here. We do have volume faltering just a bit, which is kind of what you see sometimes when you get that quick V-shaped recovery on things. The Dusty Hunt, happy cheap Bitcoin day. Yep. And we talked about that here for quite a while. If you were prepared, you could have hit that you could have hit that buy button. And if you have been prepared, and Piper Academy has been doing that for you, hit that like button. Let us know we're helping you out and have you fully prepared. We got me and my shadow in here. Good morning, good morning. It's a new name. I have not seen that name here before. We do have silver kind of in that same little range. Silver is trying to push it back above a support line that I've had drawn out for quite a while. We did get that same little dump below that gold got after we hit some levels that we had not been at for quite a while. That $32, $32.75 is a strong resistance area for silver right now, but we did get nice candle body closes before we try to push back up on that $31.78 that I'd had drawn out. We did see some brief wicking, but as we are seeing money flow starting to come back in, we got that same curvature as with gold on our prime oscillator and our MACD here, looking to try to hit that cross back up to the top side. But your money flow, your volume is staying a lot more solid on silver than it was on gold. You do have that 15-minute looking like it's got plenty of more room to run here. The prime oscillator has been cooling off kind of on the top side of things, but your money flow is slowing down on that selling pressure. Volume starting to pick up just a little bit here. Silver is quite a bit cheaper than gold and is also an inflation resistant asset. So I've been watching that one as well. It moves quite nicely in tandem with gold quite a bit. I do see a request for render. I can definitely take a look at render. Anyone else have any alt requests they'd like me to take a look at? Go ahead and drop those in the chat, because I can definitely take a look at those. I've been moving kind of quick today. I just got that energy this morning. Haven't had a lot of caffeine, but did an extra hard workout, and I was a little tired after it, but now I just got a bunch of energy. So, blasting through things. We've got the bond market looking quite nice. It is holding steady as we've been seeing that price of the Dixie going back up. So, not seeing that split of the 2-year and the 10-year broadening any. It has actually closed the gap just a tiny bit, which is kind of decreasing some of that recessionary pressures we've talked about here on Piper Academy. See XRP and Sol requested. We'll see what we got time for. Any other alt requests? Might just do one of those. AI Rig Complex ARC. Well, let's get that one added to the list as well. We got ARC in there. All right, let's take a quick look at the Dixie here. As you can see, we made a giant CME gap. Let's actually get that drawn out. I did not get that drawn out. I was looking at a bunch of charts this morning. We've got that to there. All right, and we are dropping back into the CME gap. Let's get that the proper color. And it has not been filled yet. We do have a nice little bouncing range on the middle side, being at 108.911. We'll kind of have to see how the market prices in some of these Canada tariffs that have been levied against the United States, and this might bring a little more downside to the Dixie. You do see the dollar being quite strong against a lot of currencies right now, and that'd be something that'll bring some more strength to the dollar. Let's see, we have a injective or near update. I can take a look at near. I was taking a look at it this weekend for someone in the Discord. If you're not a part of that Discord, check out the link in the description. We do a lot of work in the Discord there. If you are an upperclassman, joining on that WAP link in the description, we do a little bit more. We've got some subscriptions we share. We got a DCA strategy that's all set up for you. Does very nicely. So join that WAP upperclassmen. It's $20 a month, and you get a little more access to the members of the team. Let's hop over to some of these alt requests. We had AVAX. I've actually still got AVAX pulled up from Friday. As you can kind of see, once we faltered at this line of support that I was hoping we'd get back above, we rejected off of this fair value gap I'd had drawn out, which I had talked about potentially seeing as we were pushing back up to the top side. We did reject at that $36.15. I don't know why I got that flip-flop, but $36.15 and fell quite hard. We did get a brief little action here to try to hold this a $34.50 range as some support before we really dropped all the way back below our golden pocket. We are looking to try to potentially see a little bit of a bouncing action here at our platinum pocket. We'll kind of have to see where Bitcoin sends the market today. Let's zoom this on in to the 1 hour and see where we're sitting. We do have that 1 hour looking like it's got some more room to the upside. We are sitting right at the middle of this fair value gap and creating a bit of an order block. So seeing that sideways movement as we do see our oscillators kind of move back to the top side, our volumes looking quite red here, so seeing a bit of some selling pressure coming back in as we have tried to make that push to the upside, and we cool things off just a little bit as these oscillators go up. Kind of signals that we might see a little bit more of that downside. You do have that $20.84 being that platinum pocket here for AVAX, when we might see a little bit of a solid bounce. We looked right above that, kind of gave a bit of a dollar range above it before we really got that push back up into our fair value gap here. I see Roaming Brave. Good morning to you. And BC hates near, says username. I hate it so much that I bought some, you know. It was at some juicy levels. I didn't think I'd see sub $3 again. I missed out on it. I had limit orders set, and that was one of those projects that I'm not mad that I didn't get $2 and like a 70 cents, but definitely could have got a lot more bang for my buck there. But I've had my eye on that $3.53 range on near for quite a while, and I was not too upset that I got to buy at such a discount. Don't do XRP, do Link instead. Well, I can definitely take a look at Link instead. I got that XRP taken off the list there. We got that golden pocket sitting right above us, which we might try to make a little bit of a push to. You have some strong resistance here at that $28.75 range. So seeing a little bit of a rejection, if we were able to see continued money flow coming on in here, would be that first faltering point I would really look at. There is a brief order block there as well. You have that 15-minute looking a little bit toppy though, as we've kind of cooled off here after the cross of our zero line, and we're looking to move a little more sideways before we hit that strong move down on both our indicator and our MACD line. Prime oscillator is a little bit green here, but it is looking to roll over just a bit. So definitely have a little bit of some room to the downside for the morning, as we've gotten extremely high on our oscillators, but haven't really moved price too much higher to the top side of things. Kind of seeing a lot of faltering here at the $25.89 range. That's that first little range we're going to need to turn into some support before we try to get that pushback up to our golden pocket. And that $28.94 would be that next little area I would look at for some resistance there. You do have very equal candle bodies before we got that push to the downside. That's that price that we tried to reclaim before continuing our downside action. We do have a render requested, so let's take a look at that one. Gotta scroll down a bit. Alright, we do have render, which apparently dropped completely out of my retracement. Let's take a look at some higher term time frames here and see where we're sitting. We did get that quick loss off of a golden pocket. Tried to reclaim this platinum pocket after we dropped below it and continued our downside action. Definitely have plenty more downside we could see here on the daily, as it is pointed quite down. We did start to get our first reversal signal and oversold signal, so we'll have to see where we're sitting on those shorter term time frames. Let's get that one deleted, get this one. What kind of bounces right there before those lows? So let's get that low before the complete push up here, go all the way to the top side and see where we're sitting. Trying to reclaim that platinum pocket on the macro fib extension there. Let's zoom this on in to our 4 hour and see what we're seeing. We do have that MACD looking like it's getting some curvature here, trying to push back up to the top side. We do have the prime oscillator sitting at that light red point, so seeing another brief little bounce at my line that I had drawn out, where we got those kind of equal candle bodies at $4.20 would be a nice little move to see as we get to try to confirm that second reversal signal that really pushes things up. That would set that MACD to kind of be at that point where we'd be crossing our indicator line and trying to move back to the top side. We'll catch up. It just got back last night. Good morning to you, all set. I don't know if you went on a little trip there, but glad you made it back safe. Let's zoom this on in to our 1 hour and see where we're sitting. We are getting that bit of a rollover here on our MACD, looking a little more sideways. Same with the prime oscillator. Our volume is just starting to get to that green point, though. It is very light green as we try to at least maintain this level here at the platinum pocket and a little bit above it at that $4.14. That'd be that first little bouncing point I'd really have my eye on. Let's zoom that on in to the 15-minute, and that's where we're seeing a lot of rollover here as well. It is a little bit ahead of AVAX in that it is already crossed that indicator line on our MACD. Not looking too hard to the downside, though. Does have a bit of some sideways action here. Your prime oscillator is rolling over. We did get a bit of a divergence, so seeing that money flow holding strong as we try to maintain this range as well to try to get that push back up. We'll kind of have to see how the data impacts the market here this morning. That first data drop was going to be at 9:45, and then we do see that the next one being at 10 o'clock this morning. So definitely have a little bit of time to see a bit of some cool off before that market sends things in either direction. Let's take a look at Link, see where we might be headed on that one. Alrighty. We've got Link sitting there. Was able to maintain this golden pocket here, looking to make a little bit of a flag here, which might bode for a bit of a golden pocket bounce. 15-minute is looking a bit toppy as well, just like everything else, getting a bit of a cross here of our indicator line as we're pointing down. It is pointing a little more down than our other assets were, so definitely looking for a bit more downside. It looks like it's starting to break trend as well. We did have higher lows here, and it looks like we might make the first lower low, and these highs have started consolidating as well. So it could just be that brief little wicking down to our golden pocket at that $18.18 before we really try to reclaim these higher levels here. We did completely close our fair value gap here on Link as well for the 15-minute. Let's zoom this on out to our hourly, see where we're sitting. Kind of the same as everything else. We are getting that move back up, but your oscillators are looking at a bit of some rollover. You have that green on our prime oscillator, but it's starting to get that rollover. Your volume is quite red here as well, just at that brief green point on things. So would need to see that switching over quite rapidly on those shorter term time frames. You do have a strong resistance area here at about $19.42, which would be that first little area to try to break above and turn into some support. And we do turn that into some support. That 50% fib line above us looks quite nice, where we've got a lot of buying pressure as soon as we get above that $19.40, and would be a quick move back up to that $20.65 range. You do have that 4-hour also looking a little bit bearish. Did see some reversal signals flash before we got that rest of the dump. Just like with Bitcoin, we did start seeing some oversold signals start flashing once we got to some key levels, but definitely have a bit more downside action. We could see MACD still pointed quite down on things, but is starting to get the first bit of curvature. You have the prime oscillator, which is starting to look back up on Link, but definitely have this strong area of resistance above us, and might try to cool it off a little bit more and see that second reversal signal flash. Let's take a look at near, and then we can dive into a chart I've never looked at before, Jesse Gulak's ARC request. So let's take a look at near. As you can see, we are below some key levels. We did get a brief wicking action below that $3.07 that I was almost 8 cents there, that I was trying to see us hold as some support. It was a key area from back here where we got strong bounces, and was an area that we kind of did some battle with back here. Once we really got to the top side of it, created that first little resistance, we got a blasting off from that $3.08 point, and have not really been back down there for quite a while. I did make some purchases back here at that $3.53, where I had some limit orders set. I missed out on the rest of this, but that's okay with me. I stuck with my plan, and I got some near at some decent prices. I see Lunar Beaches in the chat. V-shaped recovery, many alts looking like a BTC COVID crash along these alts. I definitely did some buy-in. I have not longed anything. I've just been waiting, because I saw a lot of downside potential for the market, and I was prepared. As we asked in the poll, were you prepared for the dump? And it's looking like almost a 60-40 split there, that people were prepared and they weren't prepared. Maybe tune in a little bit more to Piper Academy. We got 5 shows a day, and I think pretty much everyone here talked about the dump and the potential for that dumping on Bitcoin. I know Piper talked about 88K, which I still think we might see. It was one of those levels I talked about. I know Tradefly talked about some of those same levels. I think he had a little bit lower at like 86, if I'm not mistaken. We also had Piper and OC Guy on the morning market report talking about some scary berry levels, which really depends on what we might see for the data this week, as if we go grab some of those scary berry levels. So definitely trying to keep y'all prepared here at the Piper Academy, because knowledge is profit. We are seeing some reversal signals flashing a little bit later on near. We did get that same kind of reversal signal though before it really continued the rest of the dump, just like most of the market. I want 86.8 for sure, says Jesse Gulak. Ah, sir. I mean, it's a great buying point. I just don't want to do it. I want to click the buy button, but I also don't want to click the buy button. I want things to go back up, but with the current state of things, I think there's definitely some more downside potential. And that's why I've talked about that. It's not a beautiful level though. I've seen Jay Violet saying smash the likes. I appreciate you, Jay Violet. Thank you for that. We've got that 4 hour looking like it's going to need to flash those secondary reversal signals as well. Just like with most of the other assets I've taken a look at, you do have your MACD moving kind of sideways here as we've tried to approach some key levels. We did are attempting to close that fair value gap. Unlike the rest of some of those, it hasn't closed that just yet, so definitely could see that brief little move back above that $3.53 before we really get that hard downside action. You've got your MACD still kind of pointing to the upside, but your prime oscillator is moving quite sideways here. Just like some of those other assets, you do have that money flow being just a light green here, so would need to see that same strong buying pressure. A lot of these things are getting to key levels and looking to potentially turn them into some resistance here. We are moving quite sideways here in this range on the 15-minute, as we do have your MACD and prime oscillator setting up the same kind of way as with some of the other assets I'd taken a look at. Unlike with Link, we are making some higher highs though and higher lows, looking to potentially break that trend here on the 15 as we are cooling off on that prime oscillator. We do have a divergence that's stacked up that has not come to play yet, and we are seeing those crosses kind of look a little bit nasty. Definitely do have a bit of some downside action we could see at a bouncing at $3.20 if we get back down there. 3-month chart shows possible V-shaped recovery, says Jesse. Assuming you're talking about Bitcoin there. We do have that 1 week looking a little bit bearish for Bitcoin, which is why I think you could see a little bit more continued downside unless these shorter term time frames really get their butt in gear and you see some heavy money flow coming in. I would look at that $3.20 for near to see a potential bouncing to try to get back above that $3.53 and close out this fair value gap from that higher term time frame. You did request ARC, Jesse, so let's take a look at that one. I don't know on what you have it on, but we can take a look at it on Binance, see what kind of history it's got. Got that 1 day pull. I guess we don't have that 1 day has absolutely nothing. I've got absolutely no data I can look at there. We do have the 1 hour kind of in a downtrend here. We are breaking below the lows from the start there. I don't know if something else has some more history on it. We got ARC. And let's see what it looks like on MEXC. I know that one might have a little more history. Let's see. Yep, MEXC has a lot more history on that. So let's zoom this on out to a daily view. There we go. This one's a little bit better to get some data. You said on Coinbase? Is it on Coinbase? I'm not seeing a Coinbase chart here for it. ARC. I see ABT. Jesse spamming the chat. Yeah. You know, he does talk quite a bit in the mornings. I like it. It keeps that chat moving. Get our interaction up. I don't know if it's the same thing. ABT would be a little bit different, and that's the only Coinbase one I'm seeing. It is ARC block. So I see ARC on MEXC, which has got some decent history there. We'll take a Fibonacci from the lows to the highs here and see where we're sitting. Broke below our platinum pocket, kind of looking a little bit ugly here on the daily. Does see a little bit more resilience than some of these other projects as it is quite close to our indicator line on our MACD and looking to start moving a little more sideways. You are having your prime oscillator cooled off quite nicely on the bottom side of things, getting that money flow kind of rolling back over and seeing more selling pressure though. So just waiting on this volume and money flow to kind of come in on tandem. You do have an area right below us where we'd see 005208, which would be a bit of a bouncing point. That's where we saw some resistance before it really blasted off, and saw this platinum pocket as some resistance here as we are breaking below all the lows here that were previously set before we got that push back up to the 50, and looking to try to break below the lows from back here before we really started that push to the upside. Let's see where the 1 hour is sitting. 1 hour looking like we're starting to get a bit toppy here. Let's zoom this MACD in so we can get that better view. Got rollover here on the 1 hour, just like with everything else. Would need to see that money flow start coming back in as some buying pressure. Seeing a bit of some rollover on it as we are seeing the prime oscillator rollover. MACD clipped and got a nice little pushback to the top side, but really looking like we're in a downtrend there. Definitely have a bit of some room to try to push back up here. This 016096 is looking like a strong resistance area. 15-minute, also quite toppy, getting the same rollover as the rest of the market. All right, thank you to everyone that tuned in today. It is 7 o'clock, and it's time for some Alex O Crypto. I will see y'all in the chats there in just a second. Make sure to tune in to the rest of the Piper Academy. We have the morning market report at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the Trade Academy at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got the Crypto Nightcap at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and Markets After Dark with Lunar Beach Crypto at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. If you haven't hit that subscription button and got those notifications set to get tuned into all those shows, might be an easy way to keep track of that, because we do have a lot of shows here on the Piper Academy. Everyone, make sure to trade safe today, because you might see some continued volatility as those markets open and people start pricing in more of these tariffs that are heading our way, especially with some of these countries that are going to start levying taxes against the United States in return, like Canada has already done. Other than that, make sure to tune in to Alex O Crypto. He's gonna get us prepped for the rest of the morning. And make sure to wake up, because today's going to be a good day.